Glad to have you with us. If you watch the automobile industry closely, you've no doubt noticed that the 1980s have seen a lot of technical advances. First, there was on-road four-wheel drive for sedans. Then came anti-lock brakes. And for 1988, four-wheel steering. Well, the Japanese have pioneered four-wheel steering in the 80s, and they have raced to introduce it. Honda has come to the U.S. first with it, choosing their enormously successful Prelude SI for its introduction. But will the new system really make a difference, or has Honda just added a very expensive gimmick? The Honda Prelude SI with four-wheel steering looks about like any other Prelude SI. Only badges on the door pillars tell you it's different. So if you're the kind of person who likes to be the first on your block with a new toy, don't be disappointed if nobody else takes note. But maybe having four wheels turn at once is enough for your ego. And knowing how it happens is quite interesting. The Honda four-wheel steering is the first such system sold here, and unlike others to follow, it's purely mechanical. Turn the steering wheel less than 246 degrees, and the rear wheels will turn up to 1.5 degrees in the same direction as the front ones. This, in theory, should improve handling at higher speeds. Turn the steering wheel more than 246 degrees, and the rear wheels steer up to 5.33 degrees in the direction opposite the front ones. This gives better low-speed maneuverability. It also shortens the turning circle to a very compact 33 feet. From underneath, things don't look too complex, but the gears arrangement inside this rear steering box is a marvel. It takes its commands from a shaft connected to the front steering box. Wheel motion is then transmitted along conventional-looking links. While reliability shouldn't be a worry, we'd hate to see the repair bill after a rear-end collision. So does a four-wheel steer Prelude handle any differently? Well, it's very hard to tell. The two-wheel steer Prelude is already a great handling sporty coupe. The four-wheel steer Prelude doesn't feel too much different in the slalom. You can go a little faster and turn a little later without having the tail end come unglued. So far, we found four-wheel steer cars to be less than a second faster in a slalom than similar two-wheel steer cars. As speeds climb, however, it is apparent that four-wheel steering gives the driver a little more room for error. But both Mazda and Porsche have rear suspension systems that provide the same outcome without the complexity of extra steering gear. And in everyday driving, you will be hard-pressed to notice any real advantage to the Prelude's four-wheel steering. But the story is much different at crawl speeds. Ever been boxed in? Well, getting into and out of tight parking spaces in the Prelude four-wheel steer is a snap. Although, since the car turns sharper than you'd expect, parking takes some practice. But there's more to the 88 Prelude than four-wheel steering, such as a 0 to 60 time of 9 seconds, and a quarter-mile run that ends in 17 seconds at 81 miles per hour. Those good times are due to the Prelude SI's new 2-liter double overhead cam 16-valve four-cylinder engine. Compared to last year's SI engine, horsepower is up 23% to 135, and torque 11% to 127 pound-feet. It works best when mated to Honda's excellent 5-speed manual transmission. An electronically controlled 4-speed automatic is also available. Braking is accomplished by four-wheel discs, which bring the Prelude down from 55 with an average distance of only 106 feet. Stability is good, but the rear brakes do have a tendency to lock. Our test car's control in panic stops was somewhat difficult. But despite all the technical hoopla, we should point out that the 88 Prelude's changes are not all mechanical. The still familiar exterior has improved looks and aerodynamics. The front end has been smoothed out with a new ground-hugging air dam added. The engine has been canted rearward, so the hood line could be lowered substantially to improve the driver's forward visibility. Visibility has also been improved by narrowing the roof pillars. Glass area has been increased by 20%, but Honda claims the new roof is stronger than the old one, despite its new trimmer lines. And the rear end has also changed, with last year's separate spoiler now integrated into the trunk lid. Inside, there's less textured plastic and more room. Typically, the dash is well laid out, with all controls clearly marked and easy to reach. Gauges are good but basic, Wouldn't mind seeing a voltmeter or oil pressure gauge added in the future. The front bucket seats are firm, but very comfortable. Support is good. Adjustments are manual, but they make it easy to tailor the seat to any driver. Front seats include door-mounted passive seat belts. We have to live with them, but we would like to see a more convenient control lever for the tilt wheel. It's too far down the steering column. But we have no complaints about the steering wheel mounted cruise control buttons. They let you keep your hands on the wheel. We're also impressed by the easy-to-use climate controls and the excellent cassette stereo. It uses 2 antennas for improved radio reception. The rear seat is typical for a 2-door coupe. It loses points for legroom, but gains some for shoulder belts. The trunk offers plenty of luggage space and a moderate liftover, and loading big suitcases is easy despite a short opening. There's even more luggage space if you fold the rear seat back flat. The EPA estimates the Prelude's fuel economy to be 23 city, 27 highway. Our mixed driving loop returned a moderate 25 miles per gallon. But there's nothing moderate about the price. Virtually... is standard on a Prelude SI, including the electric moonroof. So the base price is a substantial $16,645. Add another $1,300 if you want 4-wheel steering. So our test car costs $17,945. That's expensive to begin with, and $1,300 for easier parking does seem excessive. In our safety check, the Prelude SI 4-wheel steer passes on all but one count. It still doesn't have anti-lock brakes. Our list of hits include the Prelude's stylish new exterior, improved interior, and better acceleration from its new engine. We also love the low-speed maneuverability of 4-wheel steering. Misses are two: its high price and overly touchy brakes. But lest we forget, there's another issue here: the Prelude's 4-wheel steering. It's great for city, hardly noticeable at speed, and expensive. We'd like to see it on a much larger luxury car or on an off-road 4-wheel drive wagon. Its advantages could really make a difference on such vehicles, and its price could be more easily absorbed. Of course, the 4-wheel steering is only an option, and without it, the Prelude still steers better than ever.